Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining this webinar today. I am Pragya Sinha Chaudhary, VP at DASA, and I head the talent portfolio. Uh, we at DASA are coming up with the third avatar of DASA DevOps fundamentals, and we are very excited about it. So we wanted to share it with you today. But before we begin, let's look at some of the housekeeping points for today. After this webinar, the recording will be made available to everyone. Um, Please, if you have any questions during the session or during the Q&A section, please post your questions in the comment section. And if you have additional questions, please mail to us at the email given on the screen. You can also visit our website. Today, if you can go to the next slide. Today, I have Rick Forenhorst, our DASA CEO, with us, and Falco Werner, who is the lead author of this program. So, Rick will talk to us about DASA, and Falco will walk us through the details of the program and what we have done to make this a wonderful program and why are we so excited about it. So I'll just hand it over to Rick then to begin.
Thanks, Pragya. Indeed, super exciting moment, to be honest with you, because of this official launch of the next installment of our DevOps Fundamentals program. And it has been the flagship program since the start and the inception of DASA in 2016. And we made it even better. And that's great to talk about in more detail later on. But before we do so, I would like to sketch a little bit of context in which this program is supposed to make impact. And it helps to briefly go about the definition of DevOps. And there's not a single definition, I think, that captures everything that Agile DevOps principles and practices stand for. A few years ago, we published at DASA a white paper to explain some key schools of thought around DevOps. And you can also see over time, since its inception of the phrase 15 years ago, how it has matured as a discipline. Around 2009, when DevOps was coined, it was primarily focusing on the divide between IT operations and IT development departments and people. They did simply not speak the same language. They had different requirements and incentives, continuity versus change, for example. And it helped to come up with an approach to let both sides of the river work together smartly. And that also is still relevant in many organizations today, especially larger organizations still typically adopt more waterfall kind of organizational structures where you have separation between development teams and then an IT operations capability, whether it is insourced, in-house, or outsourced. And while this school of thought has still merits, especially around automation and improve the flow in those parts of the IT lifecycle, we saw also when we started with DASA in 2016 that it was very important to talk about the team level, creating high-performance teams, as we called it already then, focused on cross-functional teams with a customer focus, with a customer value in mind, but also a product mindset, which means that they had T-shaped professionals joining strengths in a team and give them then as much autonomy, mastery, and purpose as possible to let them create value, basically. And this resonated really well because it helped trigger discussions around structure, governance, but also the culture of these teams, but also the surroundings in which those teams operate. And that also related to the third school of DevOps, which then focuses around more organization-wide subjects like portfolio management, the role of leadership, culture, but also talent management, how to effectively, at scale, invest in the right knowledge and skills of people, not just on the team level, but ensure that everyone speaks the same language. And we've seen over the years in many of the DASA enterprise members that these subjects are increasingly important. That's why it's so great to announce today that in our latest edition of DASA DevOps Fundamentals, we have more emphasis put on those subjects as well. So it's not an either or, it's more like an and. So we emphasize on elements from all three schools, and it's not just that one is better than the other, but this catches a little bit the playing ground, and it makes you hopefully realize that DevOps is much more than the automation part, and much more than maybe the name suggests, focusing purely on developers and operations people. And we will go into more detail later on. Next slide, please. When we look at what enterprises worldwide do with the products and services of DASA, we see that they are creating their own, let's say, transformation journeys. In the end, they all strive one way or the other to build what we often call a high-performance digital organization. And this is not a goal in itself. Investing in Agile and DevOps is not the end goal. It's a means to an end. The end is typically one of those four business drivers that we have highlighted here. Organizations, first of all, want to increase their own corporate agility, resilience, if you want, to improve the flow in the organization, to kill waste. Because in this VUCA world, a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, it is required that you anticipate but also benefit from change. And this impacts a lot from culture, from structure, mindset, and attitude. A second driver that is often leading to investments in DevOps and Agile skills is around innovation. Become ahead of change. Make sure that you outsmart the competition. Be faster and be higher in quality when it comes to new products and services launched to the market. But also sometimes redo your whole business model and enter new markets, for example. As we have encapsulated in the DASA body of knowledge since 2016, customer centricity is a third driver that many organizations fancy. But it's often harder than it looks. And still today, many enterprises have not always in everything they do the customer central in their actions. And having end-to-end responsible product teams, for example, helps for the specialists and all the experts that you need to build great, lovable products. It helps to give them autonomy and ownership on what they need to create customer value and put the customer centric. And last but not least, we have seen over the past years, especially, that organizations can get a lot of value out of DASA products and services because of the link to employee engagement and productivity. We live in a world scarce of talent, a war on talent, it's often called in IT. And many organizations have difficulty in retaining the right talented people. So not only up and reskilling them to a certain level, but also make sure that they are provided with the right work context and culture to shine, to excel, to develop themselves, will definitely be a big differentiator for you as a company to let them stick around and make sure that you don't lose the talent as fast as you have recruited them in your organization. So all four have their benefits, and this is good to emphasize that we at DASA want to keep those core business drivers central in everything we do. Next slide, please. That brings us to our mission. To be honest, it's quite a bold statement, but if you would have asked me a few years ago, I might have hesitated slightly in explaining this mission statement and intrinsically being motivated and also convinced that we would make it. But right now it's actually very easy because we see it happening already all around us. There are a lot of proof points from many organizations, but also subject matter experts and leaders across the globe that see DASA as a leading industry body already. And we become more and more the go-to partner for enterprises who would like to transform for the reasons I have highlighted on the previous slide. So there can be many entry points, many reasons, many triggers for organizations, large or small, to start exploring the body of knowledge, the ecosystem that we have provided. And there's not one path, one solution available. And that's why we want to provide multiple entry points and a comprehensive portfolio for everyone to make impact. And let me explain a little bit what are key value pillars that help meet those ambitions. Because you're not just becoming a world-leading industry body, right? And what we do continuously is focusing on four main pillars. The first one is around talent, our talent portfolio. And it's maybe the best known one, simply because we have launched 7 years ago the first certification program, and up until this day, we make impact by providing multiple certification programs that have inspired thousands of people worldwide and hundreds of training providers who are using the body of knowledge that DASA provides. And I will show in a second a bit more on how our talent portfolio looks like. We have also invested from the start, and we have ingrained in our DNA the community-driven nature of DASA, because we are as powerful and as impactful as the strength and the size of our community. So we value our leaders and subject matter experts tremendously, and we use them actively in building our products, but also in becoming influencers, ambassadors, put them on the stand, on the soapbox, so to say, and let them spread the word. But also let them share stories and experiences about all the hardship they meet in practice as a coach, as a transformational leader, as a product owner, for example, to help organizations mature further and further. And we have all kinds of events we organize to this end, and platforms where those leaders and experts can meet and learn from each other and continue to expand basically the body of knowledge. It can be anything like writing a white paper, doing a joint webinar, but also, as I will show in a second, we have also larger events where we recognize talent. But first, let's focus on guidance, because next to talent solutions and our community-driven nature, we hear more and more often from our enterprise members and from leaders across the globe that although it is very useful and helpful to invest in up and reskilling of people and teams and maybe even company-wide, then still a lot of help is needed to actually apply the key principles and practices in practice. And with our guidance products, we exactly try to cover this, to have tangible help provided in playbooks, in guidance papers, in standardized assessments and quick scans you can use, but also workshops that can be facilitated or self-explored to help you cover a specific topic, build certain capabilities, and actually put things in practice outside a classroom setting. And we see the combination be very valuable in reality. And our guidance products are a powerful addition, I would say, to our already quite comprehensive talent portfolio. And last but not least, as DASA, we recognize talent. We want to share success stories. We want to applaud also people who share their stories, even if it's a less successful story. And we want to inspire and motivate others to start embarking on their own journey as a result. So lower the threshold, basically, making it more tangible, more concrete, where to start. Recently, we had our DASA Connect conference, the 2023 edition. We had more than 2,000 registered participants and a great lineup of all keynotes, workshops. And it was very heartwarming to see the type of energy and the discussions that took place in the various digital channels around key topics that many of you face every day. So it's not just the community value that we bring to the table, it's also the recognition that you can get out from a partnership and a collaboration in the world of DevOps from DASA. Let's go to the next slide. And you would not be alone, because we have been around for quite a few years, and we are conquering, in a positive sense of the world, that world. We are quite, from the start, dominant in Europe, but also in recent years we have expanded to the main continents, I would say, most main continents that you see here highlighted. And with lots of content as well, to inspire, to build awareness, to create communities, local and global. And it's worth mentioning, especially for today's launch webinar, that we actively involve subject matter experts in our product development. So the number you see here in the center at the bottom is very meaningful, because we have more than 250 review panel members that we actively use to make our products better. And we involve their input and their feedback on our draft products to make sure that we resonate with a larger audience, that the guidance we provide and the talent solutions we provide is actually applicable in practice to a great extent. And we make a lot of noise on social media, primarily LinkedIn, and we have tons of content that you can also download on our website and through other media. So it's if you're new to DASA, and it might be the case, and you might have heard from us or not. After today, I bet you will see much more of us, because this is how it works, right? You are more sensitive to it. And I hope, of course, that you will, in one way or the other, contribute to our expanding ecosystem yourself. Next slide. Before I say a few words on our portfolio and what kind of products you can expect or are already in it at the moment, I would like to emphasize that in the light of being the partner, the go-to partner for enterprises to base their digital or DevOps transformation upon, we wanted to focus on key themes that are very important for organizations to improve their capabilities or their maturity. And they're not fully disjunct in that sense that there overlap here and there, but these are 6 key themes that from each of those 6 at least you could start investing in certain initiatives and make already small gains and make impact through individuals, through teams, or company-wide. The first one makes sense because our focus on high-performance teams has been prevalent from the start in DASA, and we really believe in cross-functional, product-minded teams. We want to help individuals to grow, but we also want them to be effective in a team setting, because this is where individuals can really shine. And the cross-functionality that you can then embed in a team will make it much more likely that that team will develop meaningful products in a very effective way. Secondly, and that's related to, that is actually the second theme, it does mean this product mindset that the way of working in that team and in its surroundings is changed quite a bit. Many organizations simply, when they start with Agile or DevOps, they now call their project managers a product owner. And while that is let's say, a first step in the right direction, it is far from enough to actually embrace the whole philosophy. So building a product skill, helping people and teams to adopt a product mindset from cradle to grave and take ownership in the whole life cycle of the product and service that you're responsible for, is not a small feat. It's proven over and over again that many teams will need some time, maybe months or years, to get to a certain level of maturity. So just introducing new roles, for example, will not do the trick, let alone sending people to a training program and then think that the rest will automatically happen itself. The culture and the structure of your organization will typically change when you truly embrace DevOps and Agile practices. And this also relates to the third theme, because if you focus around value streams, it helps significantly to make sure that you put the right priorities and the right skills in the right basket, so to say. But this impacts a lot of organizations who were in the past working more in a project environment. So this is something not to be underestimated. And we have a lot of insights and experience with value stream management and how to do this effectively. So DASA can help there as well. Fourthly, lean product and portfolio management. The teams can work very effectively on a team level, but determining as an organization what is the most important thing to invest in and make sure that that value management, that value prioritization is taken into account up until the highest level of an organization is something that is hard. Still, many organizations start investing in Agile and DevOps from an IT department. And that is in itself okay. But if you do not merge it with key business departments, product management capabilities, and adopt a whole new way of working around how to put priorities there and increase the value, then I can guarantee you that your teams will have a subpar or suboptimal performance. So this is a very important subject to invest in as well. And the fifth and sixth topics are equally important. They have a more IT-oriented focus, as you can read from the slide. They have a lot to do with automation, with cloud platforms, with self-service infrastructure, but also modern IT landscape approaches and patterns and styles that you can use to upgrade your technology landscape, to make it fitting to the type of autonomy and speed that your teams would likely need to get. And this can be an impactful thing, especially if you look to it from a perspective of the spaghetti landscape, the technical depth piles that have been accrued over time in most mid to large-sized organizations. Very important subject as well. So as you can hear from how I explain it, I guess a combination of multiple themes is very likely to be included in your own journey and roadmap, but also start small, I would say, and you can approach the topic from multiple angles. Let's go to the next slide. And what we did is using these theme-based reasoning to continuously expand and improve our portfolio. We focus on the talent portfolio. This slide shows in a one-pager format what is part of our talent portfolio. And we have various ways to focus on both the team level and also the individual level based on predefined roles. What are knowledge and skill levels that you would likely need or need to upgrade to a certain level of maturity to be able to fully play a certain role in a DevOps environment? And based on these models, we can create all kinds of learning paths. We call them role-based learning journeys that can be tailored to, for example, what a typical agile coach or product owner or platform engineer needs to know and needs to do. In those learning journeys, you can have a mix between short courses that can be very bite-sized in time, can be fully self-paced and online, 1 or 2 hours, for example. It can consist of specialized certification programs where you deep dive on a specific subject. I already mentioned lean product management, for example, or value stream management. This can be something that caters for a specialized certification program. And last but not least, we have core certification programs that cover the combination of most of these themes and most of these elements to give a broad and more comprehensive entry point to this, let's say, way of working, to this whole discipline. In that portfolio of core certification programs, we have, of course, the DASA DevOps Fundamentals program, which is our flagship product. It has been delivered thousands of times already, and we have gathered a lot of feedback, which was a whole process to actually use as input, and we'll come to that in a second, where Pragya and Falco will tell you a little bit more on how we did that. It was input for even further improving and making the content up to date again. It's also not the end. It's typically the start of a journey. If you would like to continue on your individual expertise and path in the Agile and DevOps world, or mature your organization or your team, we typically see that many people will continue with also other core certifications programs. For example, DevOps coach or DevOps leader or DevOps product owner. A combination between the core certification programs and the specialized certification programs and the short courses can lead to very nice combinations. And we recognize, of course, achievements if people become more savvy and have completed courses through batches and through also certifications that you can get. All powered by our Talent Academy, which is a growing platform, an online platform that gives you a lot of great user experience, but also access to most of those programs. Next slide, please. In addition to the talent portfolio, we have a growing body of knowledge around guidance products. I already mentioned shortly, but we want to make impact and help organizations and its leaders to get the most out of the concepts and principles they have been taught, for example, using talent solutions. So the idea is that we provide multiple types of what we call value boxes. A value box is basically a treasure trove filled with a number of tangible, also reusable, quite generic assets that you can use. It can be a guided workshop, it can be an assessment that you can apply, it can be a guidance paper, etc. And of course, you can add your own company's specific flavor to it, but it helps you to bootstrap, to use an IT phrase, or to basically kickstart your journey. You don't need to think about how to do this myself, because the maturity models, the assessments that we have to offer give you quite a comprehensive starting point yourself, and then you can leverage that in your transformation journey. In combination with sending people to trainings and getting more experience yourself, this is proven to be a very interesting angle. And the value boxes, as you will see on the bottom left of this slide, focus on key themes or key capabilities, basically, that are needed in a company to improve your maturity in, especially if you combine it with the key business drivers that I have explained earlier. Some of the example guidance products are also listed at the right side, but I will not dive into the details for now. Let's go to the next slide. This is actually my last slide. And then we dive into the more details of this DevOps Fundamentals program. But before I do, I would like to share with you why I'm so enthusiastic about that we have now a launch of the new installment of this program. That's because in this visualization, you see, and the careful observer will see that several times DASA DevOps Fundamentals being listed in quite an important place of the overall roadmap. Because what you see here from left to right is basically an example flow that many organizations might go through if they want to successfully embark on a DevOps transformation journey. It typically starts with having some vision about the end in mind and the status quo, and selecting what is your key business driver and what is the key change that you would like to implement. To actually do that, you need to build momentum then. And to scale that, you need to involve multiple teams to do so. And only after that, the value can come out in multiple ways. And like I said, the guidance products can help you, especially with this building value phase, and make sure that key capabilities are matured in your organization. But before that is happening, you typically need champions, forerunners in your organization who are rallying for the cause, who are key evangelists and ambassadors. And you listening to this launch webinar can be one of those champions, one of those ambassadors. You don't need to become or be a senior leader for that. You don't need to be an experienced coach. By following our DASA DevOps Fundamentals program, you equip yourself with key knowledge and skills that you can use to spread the word, understand key concepts, and then use that as a fundament to actually build your own experience upon. And that's why it's so important to realize how that this new edition of DASA DevOps Fundamentals can make a huge impact in many organizations. The previous version was already used in many organizations, and we have high demand for this latest version. And let's also now focus on exploring what is actually changed and what do we have to offer in this new edition. So Pragya, back to you for...
Thank you, Rick. So Rick just established or stated how important he sees the importance of DevOps fundamentals in the transformation. Now, keeping that in mind, we looked at the previous versions or the previous avatar of the courses. Um, Joey, if you can move to the next slide. So, and we got inputs from, and we started evaluating our existing courseware or the program from various angles, from the transformation angle, and we gathered feedback from many sources, from our community members, from our member organizations, from our ambassadors and experts and trainers. We did a feedback analysis of the feedback we were getting from the learners. A team of 8 experts came together to take this data, to take this insight, and from that insight to evaluate the program. And then they decided what are the changes that is required to be done so that we can meet the key objectives, or we can meet the importance that we are trying to establish. Why we are saying that, and how this DevOps fundamentals is important, can become all the more important or establish that connect for the transformation. Um, After having evaluated the existing version, this team also started creating the content. This team of experts, they came together to even create the content. And as you can see that all of these people are experts in their own domains, and they had a lot to contribute. um, they had a lot of expertise, insights, experience of consulting with various organizations, training many organizations and people. And it was not always easy to bring the consensus amongst people. But Falco and our lead learning designer, Vijay, they did a wonderful job of it. And this is how we came up with this program. But that's not all. Uh, it is not just that these 8 experts have contributed to this program. Once the content was created, it was shared with 264 experts across 51 countries and 228 organizations. And we received feedback from all of them on all the modules. And we are in the process of looking at those feedback and incorporating those feedback and enhancing the content further. um, so all there are so many people who have so eagerly and readily contributed to make this content a very strong content in the fundamentals domain. With this, I would like to hand over to Falco, who will walk us through the details of the program.
Yeah, hi from me as well. I really enjoy working in this product together with the people you already saw on the previous slides. All of them have experienced training DASA DevOps fundamentals in some way, or at least have taken part in the training themselves, are interested in the evolving DevOps realm with DASA DevOps fundamentals as the product we're talking about here today. We see that not only on technical level, but also on the scope of DevOps, there are changes, and that's what we wanted to reflect in the new version of DevOps fundamentals. So we're building on the previous versions, reusing a little bit of the content, adding quite a few new topics, and replacing content as well. So you're getting a fairly new version of DevOps fundamentals. That's why we also changed a few things on the structure to be able to allow to use this product not only as a certification course for organizations exchanging their experiences in such a training, but also as a course that can be used as an intervention in DevOps transformations. So that's why the structure got updated as well. As we said from the beginning, from the first version of fundamentals, from DASA perspective, it is important not only to look into what are the ways of working, how do tools and automation play into that, but we are focusing here on a course that tries to bring an end-to-end view on DevOps, not in the very deepest details, but on a structure that is allowing to learn on non-technical audiences as well as technical audiences, bringing common understanding of DASA terms, of DASA concepts, of DevOps approaches, and bringing all those together with additional guidance materials, linking it to what Rick already talked about, the other parts of the portfolio of DASA in terms of guidance, in terms of learning, and bringing that together to a context-driven approach, so that DASA DevOps Fundamentals allows a wide array of roles to bring a common understanding of what DevOps is, what it's for, and why it is valuable. So with the next slide, we will see that the target audience for DevOps Fundamentals is fairly wide. We try to group it a little bit into the 3 boxes that you see here. The technical part, development and operations, kind of what Rick mentioned earlier, that's where we see the first school of DevOps, bridging the gap between the organization creating new features, development, and bringing that to the customers and to the users, the operations parts. So we have software developers, engineers, quality engineers, and testers, DevOps engineers bringing automation into place, enterprise architects who are building the gap and bridging the gap to the second group, the business and leadership. We have leadership roles on several levels that would be relevant to know and understand all the DevOps concepts we're talking about in DevOps fundamentals. That's the product owners as well as the Scrum Masters on the team level, product managers, business managers, and up to the leader roles in the organization, senior management, maybe even C-suite. There we are discussing of maybe providing a short version of that to be more catering to the needs of those. But nevertheless, it will probably be based on a few of the modules that Fundamentals brings already. Next to that, we have the third box, support and enablement. When we talk about organizations that are transforming and allowing to a customer-centric way of working, product instead of project approaches, to team organization and team setup, structuring the organization around value creation for the users and customers, then you need to be aware that support engineers, service managers are also part of the target audience of a DevOps course, especially if you talk about building a common vocabulary and understanding. You also would want to integrate business functions like finance, legal, governance, and human development as well. So now we talked about the audience, and let's dive into the program a little bit deeper. We say, okay, there are some key objectives that you should be aware, and those are providing a tool or content for a DevOps transformation, explaining the core elements, which is very closely related also to the examination and getting certified on these materials as well. But as you see, it's on the second level. That was a little bit different before this version. And we also try to discuss the critical success factors of DevOps transformation so that everyone that is part of the target audience has a common understanding of where we want to go and how DevOps transformation in an organization really works. One step deeper, we have the learning objectives, also relating to the content a little bit. I'm going through this a little bit, not that detailed, because we'll see that in the learning guides as well. We say that it is important to know that DevOps is a change process for organizations. You always hear the word transformation, agile transformation, DevOps transformation. It's a common change process. You need to know that there are different areas involved. Especially, it's relevant to link the existing ways of working to the maybe also known but not yet implemented or in place key concepts and principles of DevOps. DASA brings, for example, DASA DevOps principles along with the other guidance materials that Rick already mentioned. The course is diving a little bit deeper on DevOps culture, as I mentioned before. That is a real important part from our perspective to allow DevOps transformations to be successful, because often you see that transformations are struggling or failing if this concept, if this idea that it's not just technology, but also at least on the same level, usually even more important, to have the cultural aspects in place as well. And then you say, okay, automation is a part of it. Ways of working, lean and agile methodologies play into that as well. And to get into a continuous improvement mode that all the lean and agile methodologies really focus on, it's important to talk about how to measure the improvement. Therefore, metrics are relevant, metrics for the specific success factors, and that builds the basis for continuous improvement in an organization and allows for successful transformation. There we see, and more or less cycle back to cultural and all the other aspects, when we talk about sharing responsibility for products, for value creation, for business success, with the teams, with team members in each of the technical and non-technical areas. It is important to share knowledge and to have a common way of working, maybe even tool set, which is mentioned in detail in the fundamentals training as well. Adding to that, we also use DevOps fundamentals to talk about the other portfolio elements in the guidance and other parts of the DASA portfolio to show where you can get to the next steps, how to implement DevOps ways of working, methodologies, concepts, principles in your organization to make it easier and to support the transformation. We also give guidance on guidance, DASA guidance. From that point of view, I would like to deep dive a little bit more into the structure of the fundamentals course. We start with an introduction to the course to get to know the participants, to learn what the expectations are. So basics from the topic perspective. With module 2, we start to build the DevOps context to give a common understanding, bring in the ideas of wall of confusion, of the 3 ways of DevOps, to build the foundation, to link the upcoming modules that are on the roadmap as well into the same approach, and then deep dive into each of them. Culture being the basis for the communication, for collaboration in the organization, link it to the different levels in the organization, individuals, teams, and the organization itself, maybe also to the setting of the organization. Is it a worldwide? Is it local organization? Where does that fit into the culture of the ways of working? Building culture as one basis, you have a common groundwork for also improving the ways of working and dive into the automation part. That's always discussion where to start. From DASA and also my perspective as lead author for this course, culture is the first step to go, automation the second step. Some organizations do it the other way around. Often we see them struggle. That's why we say, okay, go that way. And then you can improve. And one way of continuous improvement is lean and agile. To improve this process and speed it up and accelerate, you want to deep dive into measurement. And at the end, kind of relating to the 3rd way of DevOps, continuous experimentation and learning. You have knowledge sharing, you have responsibility sharing, and that's where the DASA DevOps fundamentals ends in terms of new content. And building up on that, we decided to have a module on DASA guidance to look across the rim of the plate and see what else is there, what materials, what types of support you can get. For example, some assessments, some training and other content outside of the fundamentals view. And then we prepare the exam or want to take part in it. From that point of view, let's look into the instructional approach. We try to provide as much interaction as possible. So we have lots of experiential learning with interactive exercises, with group discussions, with quizzes, and optionally some links to additional products that are not necessarily DASA-owned intellectual property, but also very valuable. Not only giving you some hints to good books, but also business simulations with some partners of DASA, for example, Celia Labs or the Phoenix Project simulation from GamingWorks, that quite well fit into the ways of learning to make it more interactive and tangible, to take some of the exercises and apply it to your organization, and the organization's view is very helpful from our perspective as a trainer, and also from the perspective of organizations. Since you know that since you know about the instructional approach, there are some additional contents on the next slide about the technical parts. For example, fundamentals is planned as for half-day or 2-day course. You can set this up however you like. It is 16 hours of content from what we planned, can be delivered in classroom, virtually, or on-site. A self-paced version is also in preparation. In July, next month, a few weeks up from now, we will release the English version. That's the version we develop in, and that's the version that the initial release will be. It is set up to be hopefully quite easily translatable into additional languages. The first ones in October are planned to be released are German, Spanish, French, and Japanese. Others also on the horizon. The certification exam will stay similar to what we had in the past, 40 multiple choice questions. Different is that we don't reuse existing questions, but start off fresh based on the learning content and materials. We deep dive into all of those parts that are mentioned in the learning journey through the different modules. Passing percentage is planned to stay the same as we had in the past as well. For learners, 65%, for instructors, 10% higher. Let's see. We tried to fit the current version or the new version of fundamentals also into the DASA team competence model the same way that we did it in the past, making sure that all the areas that were covered in the past are mapped as well to the new training, to make sure that the 4 skill and 8 knowledge areas are brought up into the level of competent, so not novice and not proficient, not expert, but knowing about all those areas that are relevant from DASA's perspective in DASA team. All right, I think I'll hand it. Oh, no, there's one more slide, and then after that, I'll hand over to Pragya. Maybe you also want to say something about flexibility for instructors. I mentioned a few things already about the different ways of teaching it virtually on-site, about contents in terms of and content from the trainer perspective. Pragya?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Falco. Yeah. So Falco and team have also designed the program in a manner that it is quite flexible for the instructors to conduct the training. They can deliver the training in multiple formats. There is a classroom training available. There is a virtual classroom training available. Trainers can also decide to make a blend of both, based on the need of the cohort, based on the organizations that they are training for. Um, they can also break down the sessions while it is a 16 hour session. While there are, you can do it in 2 days, you can break it down into sessions, different modules, different session, as per the availability of of the participants. That's another flexibility. The other flexibility is that you can contextualize. The instructors can contextualize the training to the for the given cohort. They can get, to motivate people to get their buy-ins. You can have the leadership videos from those organizations and add it to the program. You can get case studies and data, industry specific datas, and use it for the program, for whichever industry you're training in, whatever case study is applicable, to enhance it further the way you like it. So that's the flexibility available for the instructors. And these videos, etc., can also be, you can leverage our platform, the Talent Academy platform, where you can upload the leadership videos, etc. On the platform, as you will see in the next slide, we have the participants and the instructors can access the material. The participants will get the slide deck for reference in a PDF format, and they also get a participant guide which has the details or the explanations of all the content that will be covered in the training program. The instructors get the slide deck for for training people, that they can access on the platform, as well as the instructor guide, and which guides you. It's actually a guide for the instructors, that how they can conduct each of the slides, what is to be done for each of the slides. In addition to that, participants can prepare with a mock exam before taking the final assessment or the certification exam. Both the certification exam and the mock exam can be taken on the Talent Academy platform. You can schedule your exams. For mock, you need not schedule, but you can take the mock exam. But for the certification exams, you can schedule it for yourself and then take the exams. Next slide, please. Okay, what more? Um, Other than this, for this particular program, not just for this particular program, this is also this is more for all the products, all that we do on the talent portfolio. Continuous improvement and feedback looping is very, very important for us for all the products that we are creating. So even for this product, we are keen to hear our learner's voice, our instructor voice, our customer voice, and incorporate those feedbacks into our product to enhance it further. So there would be regular updates released, which would be a version update. But having said that, we are not looking at major changes to be done in the coming few years, but just incorporate whatever we hear from the learners, from the instructors. And therefore, we would also request our instructors to encourage our participants to give the feedback. And today, I would also request all the people who would want to go through this training program to give us your feedback. It is very, very valuable for us. It is very valuable for this product. And as we move forward, we keep enhancing the product for you. Um, Falco had just mentioned that we are releasing the product in English language in by July, by September, and the other four languages by October. So we will have the product in this program in 5 languages by October. But our ambition is that we should have this program available in 20 plus languages by end of the year. And for that, we are very keen to partner with the experts who also have a flair for translation, so that we can work with them and translate this program into multiple languages. And if you are interested in becoming that language expert, that expert with us who has a flair for translation, would like to work with us, please write to the email given on the screen. We will be very happy. It will help us immensely. We will be very happy to collaborate with you. Um, so that's all we have for today. We encourage whatever questions you have, please write it in the comment section. We would like to hear from you and answer those for you.
Yes, there's Eliza, our colleague, who also helps in the background for the chats and the questions you received. There was one discussion about how DASA provides public trainings, and that's definitely the case through our various training providers. So it's many of them host also open enrollment courses. So there's, in your geography, probably one or more opportunities to enroll for one of those programs. That's one question we got. I was wondering, when you were talking, Falco, maybe you can say a few more words on, let's say, the practical exercises, right, that we included in the program. There were plenty to choose from. So can you give an example of what type of exercises that we put in, so people can maybe visualize even better what they can expect if they would enroll for this course?
Sure. There are quite a few, and I like, for example, the DevOps burger, reflecting on cultural elements of DevOps, making them a little bit more tangible, and discuss about it by building something in a small group and exchanging the results with other groups in the training. We are doing low level, but hopefully high impact value stream map exercise as well. Looking into non-technical example of laundering, providing clean clothes as a valuable outcome at the end. So how do you get to clean clothes, and what is the value on that? And quite a few more different ones, reflecting on, for example, the DevOps principles, how they fit to the different organizational structures in the participants' organizations, how deep are they already implemented, and where are plans to go, or reflect.
Yeah, I think that's a great set of examples to also illustrate that while we also focus on automation and technical subjects, these small exercises are helping to translate, I think, key concepts also to work context. And for people who still think that maybe for them this program is not suitable because it's too technical, think again, because we explained the huge list of stakeholders that we try to get onto a decent level of maturity, talking about key concepts and principles. It's deliberately not too generic, but it's definitely not focused on IT engineers and IT operations folks only. And that's, I think, how we also set ourselves apart from some of the other providers available out there.
Oh, we have a nice question. What is DASA? As far as I know, DevOps Agile Skills Association. And Rick told about the history from 2016 on being now industry body for ways of working of DevOps. And maybe you want to elaborate as well.
No, I think I guess the question is about what the letters stand for. So you nicely summarized that. And yes, as industry body, we focus more and more on the impact we want to see in enterprises, right? We could have made our lives easier by just focusing on certifying millions of people. We're not saying no to it, but it's not the end goal. The end goal is making meaningful impact in many enterprises who are embarking on or have started exploring one way or the other a transformation that involves a lot of the key concepts and principles that we talk about also in the DevOps Fundamentals program. And you don't need to apply it all in the same right away in the same week, but it helps you to get more sensitive for the topics that you are already encountering or will soon face. And that gives you one step ahead as a leader, but also as a team member or a coach or consultant to understand what are your options, what you can do about. And that is what DASA represents. So it's a community-driven association. I hope that Nadim's question is sufficiently covered by this answer. And I think that brings us also to the end of this session, right? Because we're on time. It's in our part of the world, in my part of the world, it's 5 p.m. now. I hope you enjoyed. We shared with you a few email addresses that you can use to contact us offline if you have any questions or would like some help or contribute in any way. Maybe final words to you, Pragya, for hosting this session with us.
Thanks, Rick. And I would like thank everyone who's joined the session. And as Rick said, if you have any questions, please reach out to us on info@devopskills.org. And Eliza has been answering questions very nicely on the chat, so you can also reach out to her. So yes, thank you, everyone. I hope you will enjoy this program when it is finally launched in the market. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Enjoy your day.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.